Isaac?
Yes, sir.
Exodus, first chapter for me.
Exodus chapter 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob was 70 souls.
I want everybody, our sons, our daughters, must get familiar with who the 12 tribes of Israel are. This knowledge has been given to us and handed down who the 12 tribes are in the earth today. It's not a mystery. We know who they are. Okay? And it's our job to teach the truth to them, and they have to wake up. We don't.
But Joseph was in Egypt already, and Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt.
Now there arose a new king over Egypt. Can we get to the next slide? Give me the next slide. Come on, not this one. I don't want this one. Right here, see what it says Pharaoh, 17th to 19th dynasty. Okay, Joseph was around the 17th. We got out under the beginning of the 19th, which was under Ramses II. Go ahead.
Which knew not Joseph.
Okay, so the family that knew not Joseph, it was a new Pharaoh. That was the new kingdom, they call it, the new kingdom. Under the new kingdom, you had such famous pharaohs. You had Tutmos III, you had Tutankhamun. You had the female pharaoh Hatshepsut. You had Amenhotep III, Nebmatri, and Kamosi. He was the full brother of Amos the first, and Nefertiti. Okay, Isaac, what verse were you?
Verse 9.
Go ahead.
And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that, when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
You see verse 10 where it says, Come on, let us deal wisely with them. Can you give me that in Psalms 83? Because what the Egyptians did is the same thing America and the European Union did to our people from the time of Spain on up till today. Get that for me, Captain?
Psalms 83. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
Y'all see that part about crafty counsel? That's the same thing verse 10 is saying when it says, Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when they're, what is this? Is this some kind of point? Don't mess me up. Y'all know I don't know what I'm doing. Come on here. How does this work? Oh, I gotta hold it. Oh, okay. Now this made me think somebody's aiming at me. Doc! All right, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them out of the land. Just like ancient Egypt didn't want us to join our enemies, they set up, they gave us jobs, they gave us positions so that we would love them, regardless of the oppression they gave us, they put upon us. So likewise here in America, this is what, with all of the cops that they say is shooting black people, listen, our people love America, our people love Europeans, we love these Edomites. We ain't thinking about rising up against them doing anything. Why? Because it's the same thing as we're reading here. This is what the Egyptians said. Verse 10 again, Captain Isaac.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
That was the fear. Come on, verse 11.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters, to afflict them with their burdens.
They gave Israelites big jobs. That's what they did. They made Israelites, they gave us taskmaster positions. Look, here come the women now. Look at this. Y'all see this? Never on time. Okay, verse 11. Therefore, one more time. Come
Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses.
Now, Pithom and Ramses are treasure cities located in the Valley of the Kings. Many of you, or some of you, may have traveled to the Valley of the Kings, and you will see the treasured cities of Pithom and Ramses. Verse 12.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
This is the same thing we're going through now. The more they afflict us, the more we multiply and grow. That's why they institute Planned Parenthood and things of that nature. Come on.
And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
Now what I want y'all to see is that from verse, what verse is it? Y'all see verse 8? Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, right? This was the 18th dynasty, which knew not Joseph. From verse 8 to verse 14, there's about close to 400 years in these few verses right here. Can we go back to the slide with the pharaohs? Okay, look again. You have, now this was not in 1 year. These were decades, some of them. You got Nefertiti, Tutmos III, King Tut, the boy king, Hatshepsut. Now these are the ones that the Egyptologists of today, they glorify these people. These were our former slave masters. You can find them in the northern Sudan today. You can find their descendants as the Watusis today. These are the ancient slave masters. The white men have taken their places and positions now. Why? Because we broke the commandments of the Most High. Now this one here, Queen Nefertiti. Now remember, each king, queen, whatever, or pharaoh, when they died, they believed in the afterlife. So when they died, they believed they would be resurrected. So the slaves, let's say this whole side of the room belonged to Nefertiti. When she died, you all were buried alive with her in her tomb. That's what happened. With her riches, her gold, all of y'all would die of starvation and, what's the word when you can't breathe? Suffocation, thank you. When she died. Same with Tutmos III, Tutankhamun, Hatshepsut, not Ramses. We had, what's Ramses' second daddy? What's his name? Somebody help me. Seti, thank you. Seti, Kamos, Netmatri. And remember, and Amenhotep. And there were many in between. This is only a few that we have listed here. You always hear about Ma'at, that garbage Ma'at. Anybody hear that foolishness? Some of you brothers hear that. And 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. Don't think that the Bible plagiarized anything from ancient Egypt. Can somebody give me Genesis 4 real quick? Give me Genesis 4 of what Cain said to the Lord about his murder of Abel. I'm going to show you, because the 42 negative confessions, that garbage of Ma'at, they said, oh, you Israelites with those 10 commandments plagiarized Ma'at. That's a lie. Many of the laws were already instituted and known from the time of Adam. This is the proof right here. Read that.
Genesis chapter 4 and verse 3. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock.
Get to the murder, when God judged him for the murder. What verse is that?
Verse 11.
Okay.
And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength.
This is after Cain killed Abel. God is judging him. Watch this.
A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord,
here it comes right here.
My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me.
So there's two things I want you to see. Cain said to God, and every one that findeth me shall slay me. Number one, there was more than just Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel. Because Cain just killed Abel, so that would have left Adam, Eve, and Cain. So what would Cain have meant when he said, every one that findeth me will slay me? There were more people than just them. Now, the next part is what he said, everyone that findeth me will slay me. Watch the law on murder. Give me the law in Genesis 9 and 6, what Noah said about murder. There was a law already in place about murder. How did Cain know this law? Adam taught him.
Genesis chapter 9 verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed.
This is what Cain was making reference to. How did Cain know that universal law that was set up by God? Adam taught him that law. So what I'm showing you, when the 10 Commandments said, thou shalt not murder, that did not start with Moses. It didn't start with Noah. It started from the time of Adam. So don't think the laws came with Moses. Many of those laws had already been set up. So don't listen to these foolish Egyptologists that try to teach our people we have plagiarized the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. They're garbage. Okay, let's get to the next slide. Okay, come on.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 15.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get to the next slide. I want to see what he's... Okay, go ahead, Isaac.
And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah.
Shiphrah and Puah, two beautiful and famous sisters of the Bible. All your daughters should know about these two women that saved the boy children alive. Go ahead.
And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women.
Now what I want y'all to see in this, I see this is from the tomb of Rekmir. This was one of the servants, one of the governors under Ramses II. If you see the color of the Israelites, these are black people. Black people, okay? They were not Caucasians. Okay, these are from the actual tombs. Give me the next slide. Okay, let me read this at the bottom here. It says, one of the back-breaking tasks of the Israelites in bondage was the making of bricks. At the left, water is being drawn to moisten the clay. Next is kneaded and then center, carried to two men who are breaking bricks into molds. Finally, the bricks are put out to dry. In the lower panel, the temple is being built with the new bricks. He's quoting Exodus chapter 1, verse 14. These are taken from actual tombs. Okay, next slide. Isaac, go ahead.
Verse 16. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses.
All praise. Jump to Exodus chapter 4 now. I ain't going to be all day. Exodus 4. Let's start at verse 6. This is after Moses was born and saved for the deliverance of Israel. Moses has killed an Egyptian. He flees into the wilderness. The Most High calls him. Start at verse 6 now.
Exodus 4 verse 6. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass.
So that right there proves that Moses was a black man, okay, raised in the house of Pharaoh. Jump down to verse 10.
Verse 10. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue.
Now many Christians say that Moses stuttered. That's a lie. Moses did not stutter at all. Get Acts 7:22, the precept for that. Moses did not stutter. Moses was not eloquent in Hebrew. He was raised in the house of Pharaoh from a young boy, from the age of, I believe, 3 or 4 and up. Okay? Here's the proof that Moses did not stutter.
The book of Acts, chapter 7 and verse 22. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians.
So Moses had to learn agriculture. He had to learn science. He had to learn the religions of Egypt. He had to learn all the over 300 gods of Egypt and what each god pertained to. Go ahead.
And was mighty in words and in deeds.
See, when it says Moses was mighty in words, meaning he could speak very well. He would, when you read in Josephus, it say he would make, what's the word, when one army makes an agreement with another a nation? He made a league. He was like an ambassador okay, with these other nations when he went on Pharaoh's behalf. He was mighty in words. He did not stutter.
Right, Bishop, if he's speaking for the king, do you think he was a stuttering man? You mean you have to be straight up eloquent, be able to speak great words and understand many different languages. You have to understand all of that as an ambassador.
I hope y'all understand that. Okay, now let's get to the plagues. Jump to Exodus. Where's the first plague at?
Exodus 7.
Okay, let's go there. Go to the next slide. Okay, Exodus chapter 7. Thank you. And let's start at verse 17.
Yes, sir. Exodus chapter 7 and verse 17. Thus saith the Lord, in this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood.
You know what always amazes me? That our people don't, in Christianity, we don't want to celebrate Passover. We want to celebrate white supremacy holidays. But Passover is a holiday about being delivered from the hand of your oppressor. Blacks and Latinos should want to celebrate this. This is a day of deliverance when your enemies got put to death and you got saved. Isn't that something to honor, brothers and sisters? Yes. I'm telling you, we got to make this thing known to our people. We have to. Come on.
Verse 18, and the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river.
If y'all look here on the side, there was an idol god called Sobek. It was the crocodile idol, god of the Nile. Okay? The Nile god. He had the head of a crocodile. And God, when the Most High smote this river, that was a direct attack to let the Israelites know that this is no real God. This Sobek character. This is false. It has no power. It does not exist. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, take thy rod, and stretch out thine hand upon the waters of Egypt, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone.
So God was smiting the Egyptians, which were ancient Africans. Read.
And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord commanded, and he lifted up the rod, and smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river. And there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And
so that was the first plague. All praises to the Most High. Let's go to the second plague.
Chapter 8, verse 1.
Okay, now this we're going to look at Hiket, which was the frog idol goddess. This goddess, as you see in the slides here, it was a frog god. Some steles, not the word I believe it is, showed them as with the body of a male, but had the head of a frog. Others showed the frog in its entirety as the frog. So, Exodus chapter 8, start at verse 5, please.
Verse 5. And the Lord spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch forth thine hand with thy rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up upon the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt.
So these magicians were the witches of Egypt. Okay, so they tried to mimic the same thing. Go ahead.
Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat the Lord, that he may take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice unto the Lord.
I remember being a little down south. We used to chase frogs. Me and my brothers would chase frogs. But can you imagine 1,000 and semi frogs coming up out of the water after you? That's a scary thing. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto Pharaoh, glory over me. When shall I entreat to thee, and for thy servants and for thy people, to destroy the frogs from thee and thy houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, tomorrow. And he said, be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none like unto the Lord our God.
So again, Moses was making sure, not just the Egyptians, but the Israelites. Remember, we were 400 years in Egypt. We were starting to believe in some of this foolishness. Just like here in America, You can't tell some of our people white man ain't God. They go, no, Jesus is white. God is white. And we got to say, no, he's not. So imagine Moses saying, there's no God called a cat. And they go, yeah, there's a frog God. He's saying, no, there's not. Here's the proof. And he smoked them with frogs. Go to the next slide. Okay, let's go to Exodus 8, jump down to verse 16. We're going to read about Kepri, the scarab idol god, third and fourth plague. Many of y'all seen this on the, what's that movie with Indiana Jones? Which one was the scarabs? The Mummy? The Mummy, where they show all these little beetles come out and attack him. See, the God here has the head of a beetle. And Indiana Jones, in one of those movies, I forgot. It wasn't The Mummy? The Mummy, so it's not Indiana Jones. The Mummy, thank you. The Mummy, they're all the same to me, where these beetles will come out, eat through your flesh, and destroy you. But they call this idol god Kepri. So let's start Exodus 8, verse 16.
And the Lord said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod, and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth. And it became lice in man and in beasts. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beasts.
So these ancient witches, which are called magicians here, today we call these people scientists. Go ahead.
Then the magician said unto Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said. Verse 20. And the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water. And say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are.
Now these flies, I know some of y'all come from New York. You may be thinking, I don't understand, so what's the big deal about flies? I swat flies. If you've ever been to the Caribbean island, even down south we got something called horse flies. And them things hurt when they bite. They will draw blood. So don't think these little flies are like your little New York house flies. It's not like that. These flies bite. Okay, go to the next slide. Exodus 9, we're going to start at verse 3. We're going to talk about Hathor, the cow idol goddess. Okay, this one's kind of dark, but you see here over this idol here, you see the two horns with the sun in the center. Y'all see that? And the horns, this represents the goddess Hathor. Okay, those two things on the side are the horns. Let's start at verse 3, please.
Exodus 9, verse 3. Behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thy cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain. And the Lord shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt. And there shall nothing die of all that is the children of Israel. And the Lord appointed a set time, saying, tomorrow the Lord shall do this thing in the land. And the Lord did that thing on the morrow. And all the cattle of Egypt died. But of the cattle of the children of Israel died not one.
So the Most High was protecting Israel, just like today, many of the plagues that come forth that America tries to put on our people, if you know, like AIDS, that was meant to get rid of us. The Most High turned that whole thing around now, smiting the white community, the homosexual community. Read.
And Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not one of the cattle of the Israelites dead. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go.
I want to go to the next plague now, next slide. Okay, Kittesh, this is the sixth one. We're going to jump down to verse 8, all right? Cap?
Yes, sir.
Kittesh was an idol goddess of beauty and health. Now, I want to pause here for a second. For you vanity sisters, vain sisters. This goddess here was, you ever see the Egyptians, they would use this black stuff over their eye to give the eyes that, you ever see those giant eyelashes the Egyptians would wear? So anybody know what I'm talking about? They would get this black stuff and it makes the eye look. Find me go to Google. Some of y'all looking at me like I'm crazy. Go to Google and look up an Egyptian eye. And I want y'all to see many of the ancient customs are brought back in America today. And many of you sisters, some of you sisters up in here, follow this stuff and go, oh, it's just beauty. Some of the stuff have pertain to ancient demonology, I work like. Like this one down here. Can you go this one right here? Down here. So when I was talking about the Egyptian look, they get, where you at? Okay. That's the eye I was talking about. See how to make it go all the way out like that? I'll go back to that goddess. Yes. So this was Kitesh, the idol goddess of beauty and health. They would OD over being beautiful and their health. They would OD on that stuff. See, the body's nude, and the Egyptians were into this thing, the body. You didn't see no fat Egyptians running around. All right, let's start at Exodus 9, verse 8, please.
And the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. And it shall become small dust in all the land of Egypt, and shall be a boil breaking forth with plagues upon men.
Now, I do want to say this. When we came out of Egypt, you brothers, y'all know, the Most High, because somebody's going to say, well, some of the women do this, some of the women do that. I ain't making no big thing out of it. But I'll say this. When we came out of Egypt, we practiced many customs of ancient Egypt. For example, the men, we would bald our heads because that's what the Egyptians taught us. God didn't kill us for that, but he did say when we came out of Egypt, don't follow those customs. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Leviticus 21:5, Leviticus 19:27. When we come out of this captivity, there's many things that we do, men and women, that the Most High will be merciful and tell us, don't do that no more. I can't tell you what some of it is, but, you know, but until that day. But this is what I'm just showing you about this. You know?
And upon beasts throughout all the land of Egypt, and they took ashes of the furnace, and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it up toward heaven. And it became a boil, breaking forth with plagues upon men and upon beasts. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boil was upon the magicians and upon all the Egyptians. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had spoken unto Moses. And the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him,
what verse?
This is verse 13.
Okay, go to the next page, please. Okay, 7. This goddess is called, some people say Nut, some say Nut. The idol goddess of the sky, which is the 7th plague. This goddess, remember the women held the throne in ancient Egypt. This is why in ancient in Egyptology they say the black woman is God. Because in ancient Egypt, the women held the throne. You had to marry a woman of the bloodline to become Pharaoh. Okay, so this goddess here, Nut or Nut, she was supposed to protect and give forth good weather for your crops and things of that nature. Let's start at verse 22, please.
Verse 22. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch forth thine hand toward heaven, that there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and upon beast, and upon every herb of the field throughout the land of Egypt.
Now the goddess Nut was supposed to protect them from hail over the land of Egypt. The Most High showed, no, there's no God called Nut that's going to protect the Egyptians. Read.
And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail, and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, was there no hail.
We always had areas to ourselves. That's what the white man, they call it, what they call it, gentrification. They like to move us from one place, from the suburbs to the ghetto, and back again. Back and forth and back. That's what they do. So here we were always in Goshen, and Most High was protecting them. Let's go to the next slide. We're going to the 8th plague, dealing with Osiris. Many of you have heard of this guy called Osiris, the idol god of vegetation and death. Okay? Let's start Exodus 10 and verse 12, please.
Exodus 10 and verse 12. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand over the land of Egypt, for the locusts, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt, and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail had left. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt. And the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. And the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt and rested in all the coasts of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them, there were no such locusts as they.
So Osiris was supposed to protect against the locusts and things of that nature. That was his power. But God is again showing there is no God called Osiris. Right?
Neither after them shall be such, for they come in the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened. And they did eat every herb of the land and all the fruit of the trees, which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees, or in the herbs of the field, throughout all the land of Egypt.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, we're going to deal with the ninth plague. Now, all of you in here have heard of Ra, the sun god, Ra. This is the eye of Ra. This is the eye you see up here. He's often shown with the head of a bird. On your dollar bills, above the pyramid, on the $1 bill, you have the all-seeing eye of Ra. So over the pyramid, right? Okay,
It's within the pyramid.
I ain't got my dollar on. Anybody have a dollar? I know I'll be saying something wrong. There's somebody do a million videos talking about I said something wrong. You got a dollar, Mina? Somebody got a dollar. I just gotta look at it. The dove. Let me look. Yes, it's above the pyramid. Thank you. Where it says Annuit Coeptus. Novus Order Secura, Latin. New World Order. Our enterprise of success. Okay, Exodus 10, verse 21.
And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt.
Now, when you read in the Apocrypha, it tells you this darkness was so thick, fire could not light their way. And they would hear strange beasts around them, and many of the Egyptians died of fear. Come on.
And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings.
We had light in our dwellings. All praise to the Most High. Now, next slide, please. Okay, ISIS. You all heard they used to have a TV show called ISIS during the late 70s, early 80s. Okay, ISIS, goddess idol of life. Okay, this is her here. You see her often with the wings, and she controlled weather and things of that nature and gave life. Okay, and believe me, y'all see these hieroglyphs back here? There's no Negro running around North America that can translate or read this. Don't believe the Egyptologists' lies. They can't read this stuff. Okay, so now, the 10th plague, Exodus 12, and let's start at verse 29.
Exodus 12, verse 29.
Actually, read verse 12 for me. Let me hear that.
Verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment.
Y'all see that part? And execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt. The Most High was making the Israelites know and the Egyptians know there's no God but Him. So all those plagues was a direct attack on their fake God. Read that bottom piece again, Captain.
And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord.
I am the Lord. So now, verse 29, says 12, verse 29.
And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle.
Now ISIS was supposed to protect against death. This is the gods they prayed to for life and liberty. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead.
So all the houses of Egypt had dead. Let me see the next slide, please. Okay, let me see. Israel is responsible for Egypt's intelligence. Let me see what we got here. Can you read this for me? Psalms 105, 17 through 22, please. Psalms 105, verse 17 through 22.
Psalms chapter 105, verse 17. He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron.
Remember, Joseph became the father of Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay? Read that again.
He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron, until the time that his word came. The word of the Lord tried him. The king sent and loosed him, even the ruler of the people, and let him go free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his substance.
Joseph was second over Egypt. Go ahead.
To bind his princes at his pleasure, and teach his senators wisdom.
So the forefather Joseph taught the senators or leaders of Egypt wisdom. Always want to remember that and write that down, because there's an onslaught of this stupid Kemetic community saying that Israel got all that learning from Egypt. That is not true. Now 1 Kings 4:30, please.
1 Kings 4 and verse 30. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country, and all the wisdom of Egypt.
So our forefather King Solomon, the Bible says his wisdom excelled all the wisdom of Egypt. Remember that, all the wisdom of Egypt.
Exactly.
Deuteronomy 28:49 about the symbol of America, please. And then Revelation 11:11. What we're going to show you now is America is spiritually called Egypt in the Bible. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies.
So now, here we see the symbol of America is the eagle, the bald eagle. Egypt also had a great symbol of, and I believe this was an osprey or falcon, one or the other, where they had a bird as a symbol. So America did the same thing. And if you notice here, in the eagle's mouth, it says "E pluribus unum," which is Latin for "of many one." And here you got the 6-point star. This is the shape here, the 6-pointed hexagram here, the star of Molech, over the eagle's head. You have an eagle's right talon. You have a what is this called? The olive branch. Olive branch, and in this talon here, you see war. Arrows symbolize war and takedown. So they came forth with peace, but it was deceit, and it came back with war. Here's that famous eye that I was talking about earlier, which is the same eye over the dollar bill, okay, the eye of Ra, okay? You see Egypt, Israel in ancient Egypt making bricks and mortar. Here we are here in America picking cotton. Okay, let me see the next slide, please. Give me Revelation 11 and 11, I think it is.
Revelation chapter 11 and verse 11. And after 3 days and a half.
3 days and a half symbolizing 350 years. Let me say it again. 3 days and a half symbolizes 350 years. Go ahead.
The spirit of life from God entered into them.
This is what y'all see right here. Look at each other. This is the spirit of life from God entering into them. We are the them. We are the Israelites. Go ahead.
And they stood upon their feet.
And we are beginning to stand upon our feet in honor, redemption, understanding, and coming together as one, with no fussing, no fighting. This is a hard and wonderful thing, that blacks and Latinos can come together with no problems and get stuff accomplished. Go ahead.
And great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them.
Captain Isaac, I want Egypt. Jump up.
Verse 8. Verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
The great city is America.
Which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Now I want to pause there. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called what?
Sodom and Egypt.
Now you get some Christian commentators that say the great city is the Vatican City. Let me tell you something in case you didn't know. The Israelites is not running around Vatican City. We're not there. We're over here. So this great city where our dead bodies are laying is here in this country. Not over in Rome, in the Vatican City. Stop listening to these foolish Christian commentators. Read that again.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Now it's calling us dead because we're spiritually dead. Captain Isaac, real quick, give me Baruch. I think it's 4 and 3, somewhere around there. About hear the prayer.
Baruch chapter 3, verse 4.
Thank you, thank you.
O Lord Almighty, thou God of Israel, Hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites.
Now see that? Hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites. We're not physically dead, but we are mentally and spiritually dead people. Okay? In the streets of New York, they got a saying for black men today. They call them the walking dead, zombies, walkers. That's the new lingo on the street, what white people say about young black men. Here come the walking dead. That's what it says about us. So go back to Revelation 11:8, please.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Now Sodom, because America has given rights for men to marry men, women to marry women. Egypt had the same thing. But notice here, in ancient Egypt, you had the obelisk, which is a phallic symbol of sexuality. Here's the Washington Monument. It's the same thing from ancient Egypt, the same thing. This one here is in Central Park in New York City. These are actual obelisks, okay, that they got from Egypt. This one's been touched up and fixed up, but it's all from ancient Egypt. So when God says this place is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, he's talking about America. He knows what he's saying. Okay, this is all written as a metaphor. Let me see the next slide. That was it? Okay, all praise to the Most High.
This is a beautiful thing. As the bishop went through the lesson, it was to hear that we have, and to see it, to actually witness the revival of the nation of Israel. It's truly a blessing to see. Every year it gets greater and greater and bigger and bigger. The healing pages within this Bible, the confidence that comes out of knowing that God made all of these things for you. Let's read it.
2 Ezra chapter 6 and verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake.
This is the prophet Ezra talking to the Most High about being in captivity under nations. Okay, so he was making a point. He said, listen, when you read this chapter, there's arguments, for lack of a better term, that the Lord, that Ezra was bringing to the Most High. He said, listen, because Ezra was bringing about the creation of how everything was made and all of that. So he gets down to this point, and he says, all of this, meaning all of these arguments, read it again.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake.
Because thou madest the world for our sakes. The thou was the Most High. God, you made the earth for our sakes. See that? That's that understanding that we have to get. That's what it means to be chosen. When the Most High says there's a chosen people, that means everybody else he did not choose. So there's some encouraging spirits behind this, just knowing about that. Read that again.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake.
Because thou madest the world for our sakes. So the Most High would not have made the earth at all if he wasn't going to put Israel on it. Y'all ain't getting that. That's that butter again that's going out the windows and out the doors. So they didn't land on that biscuit. Think about what I just said. The Most High would not have created the earth if he was not going to put you on it. Read.
As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing.
So as far as the other nations are concerned, God, you the one that said that they were nothing. Y'all get that? Now, go to Exodus 4:22.
Exodus 4:22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh.
And you, Moses, shall say unto Pharaoh.
Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord. This is Moses pointing to him. Thus saith the Lord.
Israel is my son.
Israel is my son.
Even my firstborn.
Even my firstborn. Meaning Israel is the heir to everything that I own. That's what it means. When it said even my firstborn. Meaning everything that the Most High and Christ have belongs to Israel. He said they're the ones that's going to inherit everything, including you. That's what it says in the Psalms. He says, give me that in the Psalms real quick.
Psalms 2 verse 8.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Read it.
Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance.
Ask, read it again.
Ask of me.
Ask, who is he talking to? The nation of Israel. He said, ask of me. Go ahead.
And I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance.
The Most High say he's going to give all of the nations for us to own. Y'all understand that? That's the therapy. This is therapy for our people. And to hear this and to come out of this messed up state, this is the therapy that's going to clean us up. Y'all all right? So don't be amazed in the sense where you see Israel grow. Like I was saying earlier, how this thing started with just a few families to this. This is to be expected. This is the Lord's work manifested. You think I'm going to sit back and say, oh, he can't do it? I'm expecting this to go over 1,000,000 times over. Because the Most High is behind this thing.
I want to give Most High honor and glory, man, for gather 1,100 souls. Then beside all the camp we have to our UIC, throughout the state, throughout the countries, I want your guys to give a hand applaud for Christ's sake that's gathered these souls in our UIC. There is also without his son Jesus Christ, we will never be nowhere. We will still be in the street doing bombing stuff. Things that the nation expects us to do. But now to gather these 11 souls and beside our UIC camp, then look, like Deacon Yawasab just said, we not hope next time to gather that much, but we hope to gather triple this next time. You understand? By the glory and by the glory of the Father and His Son Jesus the Christ. We want to gather Israel in a right frame of mind. We want to gather Israel so we may think the same thing. We're not walking with none of you if you're not in the right frame of mind. Because anytime you gather Jake, if you gather Jake under any spirit, it's not under God, spirit, under Christ, we cannot work together. This thing will be break apart. That's why we as leaders, we carry ourselves as an example among you. You understand? When they get to sin, we don't deal with sin. We reject sin. So you can see us as perfect in the spirit of Christ, so you can continue be that perfect body IUIC we're looking for. Because we came here for one purpose only, to gather the 12 tribes of the house of Israel. We ain't going to leave none behind in this strand of IUIC in the spirit of Christ. We want you to know that. Yeah, man, then when you see brothers and sisters leave us, that's okay. It's a part of the mission. Don't get bugged out. Don't get retarded on us. Everything gonna be all right. There was not this thing for them. A scripture said, if they come among us, if they was with us, they would have continued with us. If you see these brothers who left us, that's okay. It's a part of the mission, brothers. It's to strengthen your spirit. You understand? To know what to do for the kingdom to come. Keeping this commandment in the feet of Christ. Stay strong, Israel.
All praise to Most High. Each and every brother was able to have a garment. And Soldier David, Brother David, where's Brother David? Bro, where's your wife? I wanna personally thank that sister right there. That sister really come through. She was sewing garment. Her and a couple of other sisters were sewing garment. It was still probably sister that she was sewing garment. I hate to do this. I know we all come to have a good time, some of you vacation. I don't like to put burden on sisters, but I just want to thank all your sisters. Deacon Malachi, your wife, man, that sister right there. Woo.
The good deeds, that good deeds does not go unnoticed in the eyes of the Most High. He knows your heart, and what you was doing it for was to help clothe the brothers and sisters for this day. And when we come together with that spirit, we are unstoppable. Unstoppable. We rally together. This is what it's about. We need each and every one of you to understand that this, what you see here, this mission is impossible without all those that labor. What you see behind you, this stuff here, brothers and sisters came together to make this happen. You all did it. We're just here to read the Bible out loud to you and give you understanding of it. But it's you. You're the machine that makes this work.
So we give all praise to Most High for you all.
I did want to say one thing. I did want to show y'all something real quick. Y'all saw the terrorist attack in Brussels. There were 2 bombs in the plane station, and then they blew up a subway. This was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Yesterday. Real quick, give me Luke 21. I want y'all to know that y'all are living in the greatest time on earth. This is not a time to get weak, fearful, unbelieving, doubting. This is not that time. Luke 21, Christ said this. Luke 21, start at 25.
Luke 21, verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress.
This is what I want y'all to see. And upon the earth,
distress of nations.
Distress of nations. This is what you're seeing on the news in Brussels. And it's going to escalate throughout Europe and here in America. Read.
With perplexity, the sea and the waves roar.
Come on.
Men's hearts failing them for fear.
Men's hearts failing them for fear. There's been news reports of people just dropping dead out of fear of what is going to happen next. Go ahead.
And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken.
When it says for the powers of heaven shall be shaken, it's talking about the kingdoms on the earth shall be shaken. Read.
And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory.
So when you see the distress of nations, these are signs to let you know Christ is soon to come. So this is a time to rejoice, not to be fearful and afraid. Come on.
And when these things begin to come to pass,
this is a message for all of us. And when these things begin to come to pass,
then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh.
That's right.
That's beautiful. Lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. Your redemption from who? Your enemies. Beautiful, beautiful.
Give me, to follow the bishop's lead, Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6. I'm sorry, start with 5. We usually go straight to 6, but let's go to 5.
33, verse 5. The Lord is exalted.
And that's what we're here to do on this Passover night, to exalt our Lord. Read on.
For he dwelleth on high. He hath filled Zion with judgment and righteousness.
And that's what we're doing as we come together as a nation. This world has not seen judgment and righteousness in a long time. And as we come together as the Israelites, as the 12 tribes, we're showing the world what judgment and righteousness looks like. The world has not seen it. That's why Christ said, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works. So we take pride in our fringes. We take pride in our beards. We take pride in our garments. We take pride in our marriages. We take pride in our laws as we invoke them upon the people and let the people see how we live. Read on.
And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time.
While the world is falling apart, the wisdom and the knowledge that we have of the Bible is going to keep us stable. The whole world is going to start, because people, you look on YouTube, you're seeing conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. There are Israelites who are falling out of the truth because the white man put out that the earth is flat. And it's spreading like wildfire. And the Bible says that the earth is a circle. Read it again.
And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time.
We don't need no scientists to find out the shape of the earth, because it was written in the Bible a long time ago that it was a circle. And we don't care what European scientists have said or new findings. Read on.
And strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure.
The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Read on.
Behold, their valiant ones shall cry without.
And that's what the bishop was talking about. Their valiant men, their people, their nobles, their great men are going to be without. Because it's time for us to rise as a nation. So the Lord is going to slowly start taking away from them. Read on.
The ambassadors of peace shall weep bitterly.
Those leaders that you see in the UN trying to create peace, they're going to start crying. Because they're going to realize they can't stop what's going down. It's going to get bad. But because of the knowledge we have, we're going to be smiling while they cry. We Gonna be laughing while they weeping. Read on.
The highways lie waste. The wayfaring man ceases.
Ain't nobody traveling no more. They stopping you at the airports. They're making it difficult for you to move from place to place. Read on.
He hath broken the covenant. He hath despised the cities. He regardeth no man.
And that's how these people are moving now. They don't care about nobody. The nations don't care about anybody else. So we now have to stop relying on everybody else and start relying on ourselves. How we going to build our nation? How we going to come together as a people? Because this world is falling apart, whether y'all believe it or not. That's what I see every day I wake up. This world is falling apart. Nothing is getting better. From I was young to where I am now, this world is in the worst condition it is. Knowledge has increased, but the standards of living are horrible. So y'all got to look at these things, look at this place falling apart around you, and praise the Lord for the knowledge and the wisdom that he's given you to keep you stable.
Shalom, Israel. I'm Elder Nathaniel, Israel United in Christ. YouTube likes to shut our channels down, as some of you have noticed, ever so often. Subscribing to join IUIC will assure you will always stay connected to our YouTube accounts. We want to do our best to make sure this truth gets out. Please click and join our subscriber YouTube channel called Join IUIC to stay linked to all of our videos. So again, please make sure you subscribe to this Join IUIC channel to get your latest updates from all our YouTube channels. Shalom.